How's the weather where you up?
Nah, it's fairly middling.
What's the temperature?
It's 17 degrees centigrade.
Okay, that's clear here at the moment, 16 degrees. That's the weather forecast for Clydebank and Salisbury. You want to know the weather's like where you are? Look at your in bloody windy. Just sort out Facebook. Well, David tries to get YouTube feed back up.
That's it. It's fine. It's up.
Hold on. Make that public. And we're public. Okay.
There we are. Oh.
So, very middling the weather-wise. Numbers are climbing nicely.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot of people in. There was a good few in waiting and all. Hi, Dylan. Hi, Terence. Hi, Fiona. We're Wally's Bucket. Jim Stephen. Lorraine. Lorraine King. Lorraine Hay. David Keane. DJ Marty. Ali Watson. Indy Scott Bryan. Mark Telfer's in. Robert the Bruce is in. Wolf Pet's in. Joseph's in. Stephen Bankier's in. Barbara's in. Hi, Barbara. Chris Wilson's in. Hi, Chris. Who else we got? We'll get you. Wolfpet. Keep scrolling back. Keep scrolling back. Keep scrolling back. Lorraine King was the first one in through the doors today. Rebecca McDougall and Alexander Thompson. Can I say hello to everybody?
How Ginger is doing?
No, I heard she got the call. Probably us saying I'm sorry to hear that. Right, we've got first the Facebookers in. We've got Paul Fulton. Who else we got? Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. How's things in Dewsburg today? Huh? V Gates. Who else we got into Facebook? We've got Alan Duncan. We've got Stuart Crockett. We've got Jane. Hi, Jane. Jane Loveland. We've got Jim O'Brien. Susie Laurie. John Paul. Waterloo. Hey, John. John Bell down there in the north of England. How's it going, John? Well, wee story is going to get your ears picked up at the end of this one, sir. Did you get a chance to read that, David, when I posted it to you?
Aye. Yeah.
Terrific, isn't it?
It's just it turns my stomach.
Aye.
We've now got legislature down in London throwing out stuff like that.
Aye, but we'll get to it. We're up there the 100 mark, folks, so let's get this show on the road. It's the Two Davies on the 14th of the 9th, 2023. You've already had the bloody weather forecast. So let's crack on. David, new poll out. Put Chess 2 points ahead of no if there was a vote anytime soon. Now, this was the second poll to put a yes in front by the pollsters find out now. Now, in the first poll, carried out by a yes group, asked this particular polling company find out now. The first poll had yes at 51% and no 49%, with those were excluded. The one 3 months later has got yes on 42% and 52% and no on 48%, putting yes 1 more point in front. Now, what's the difference between these pollsters and all the other pollsters, David?
It's dead simple. It's like the weighting they've used. Instead of using a weighting that they would use for a referendum, they're using the weighting for a general election, which is more appropriate for what is coming up. If we're going to use the general election as a plebiscite to gain our independence, then that kind of weighting has to take place.
Yep, and there's a wee bit more to it than that, of course. The traditional pollsters, Ipsos Mori, YouGov, Red whatever they are, and Wooten or whatever the hell they are, they're all weighting against the voting intentions of 2014 and the demographics of 2014. This particular polling company, find out now, has actually looked at it and went, no, you haven't. That's not how this is going to go down. So we better weight it against the general election. We better weight it against the current demographic.
And as we know, David, the question I didn't ask you, David, was Professor Pat Pending, has he said anything about it?
John Curtis has had a look at it and said, yep, that's more reliable way of polling for the intentions. of the voting. And I think that the SNP have now made it official that they're going to party conference to have a plebiscite election. Right, okay, but now what's interesting about these particular polls is they're taking into consideration demographics. Now, if we take into consideration the majority of the older population allegedly voted no at the last one, there's a bit of unsure in the way you're reading the statistics on that one. But for the last 11 years, or whatever it is, or 10 years, nearly 10 years, whatever it is since the referendum, an awful lot of that demographic have shuffled off this mortal coil, and an awful lot of school leavers have come into voting age. So this new polling company has factored all that in.
Yeah.
Now, John Curtis has had a look at it as well. No, he's a guru of this stuff. And he's went, aye. But you know what's interesting about it, David, when you get right down to it, although this shows a solid yes lead, right, John Curtis also brought up an interesting point. He said, yep, these figures look more correct, but still within the 3% margin of error.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So you're all going to have to try harder, guys. Something like that. Squeeze that up the way.
But it is positive. Tommy Shippard MP says, you're no surprised. Now that they've got the waiting sorted out, it's showing a yes lead because of the chaos people are looking at every day down the road in Westminster.
Yeah.
And some of that chaos will come up a wee bit later, in fact. But story number 2 is about that chaos in one of the parties doing that road. And this is the one that's favoured to win the general election. The Labour Party. The left strikes back, and Angela Rayner slaps Starmer in the kisser with speech on workers' rights. Badoosh! Absolute cracker. She took the rug right out under him, didn't she?
Yes. The thing is, Angela Rayner, I think Starmer must have one of the wee voodoo dolls of Angela Rayner with a pin stuck it, because he can't get rid of her.
No. And what's interesting about the speech she just gave on workers' rights and the commitments that she's made for Labour in the first 100 days of coming to office on workers' rights is there is nothing that Starmer can do with it, because that's her brief.
Yes.
And that's part of her brief being elected to the position of deputy leader. So now that she's made all these pledges to reverse the anti-strike laws and to regulate the gig economy by doing away with zero-hour contracts, that slapped him, because what Starmer said about the anti-strike laws was he was going to let them bed in and then issue guidance. So there was always minimum service, but that was never needed because there was always minimum service there anyway. On the gig economy thing, Starmer was asked about this and he said, we'll put it out in consultation because zero hours contracts are the gig economy actually suits some people. And I have to say, David, as you know fine well, I took advantage of the fact that the Joe Biden means that I can work in that economy when it suits me. And as you know, David, 2012 to 2014, when I spent most of my time campaigning for independence, I could just use the co-op as a piggy bank whenever I need to top up my bank account.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, I could just jump in and out of work as I liked.
Yeah.
You know, so there is.
We lost a lot of money during that period of time, you and I.
Lose a lot of money.
I cry myself to sleep every night over it.
We lost, David, so did I, because it was twice the price of my fucking house I spent.
Yeah. Aye.
And that was a lot. In fact, twice the price of my house plus $5,000.
Anyway, look, don't look back in anger, as they say.
No, but so there is some usage for some people in the. Thanks, Dylan. Thank you very much, Dylan. That's generous of you. We've just got the 200 quid to Dundee and Angus Food Bank Initiative. Aberdeen hasn't got back to us. Apparently Aberdeen and Fraser, but I don't want more money. So I'll need to look for another couple of charities, because I've been waiting for days for these people to get back to me. Yeah. The last in Aberdeen. I'll get a super sticker up. Thank you very much.
Character turning around, waving his hand, saying, "Hey you," whilst lowering his glasses. Hey you. Right.
Well, as I say, I've been waiting for a few days for these people. Thanks, Patricia. Waiting for these people to get back to me, and they just haven't got back to me.
Yeah.
You know, I've been wanting to get it out the door. So we'll look at other food bank initiatives in the Aberdeen and Fraserburgh area. There must be more than one.
Oh,
you know.
yes, there will be. Yeah.
Right. So Rayner slapped on big style, and there's not a lot he could do about it. So the press interview him on it, and he says the best he came up with was good speech. She's committed him to something he didn't want to do. Big slap in the lift, and they slapped the dish, and the left strikes back.
Davy Keane, super chat, $9.99. Thank you, Davy. Just a quick message, guys. Big thanks to Davy McGuinness. Cheers for the ice cream, my man. I'll have to rush back to work, so we'll catch the show in full. Well, when I get home, get up, keep up the good work, guys. There you go.
It was a lovely day, Davy, and it was lovely to spend time with you and Dylan, and the ice cream was the bad either. Right,
but
so
anyway, the problem is, right, here we are.
Thanks,
we're bullying up Angela Rayner, right? Okay. To be honest with you, I like her. I like listening to her, right? Because she's a socialist. No doubt.
That's a problem Starmer's got. And that's what
the difficulty remains that she is for the Labour Party, and the Labour Party do not want to see Scotland going bye-bye. All right?
I mean, absolutely mental. She really kicked her rug out from under his feet.
Yeah, fine, okay, but
thing that he can do about it now. We know that he wants rid of Rayner.
Yeah.
He really wants rid of her, but can't do nothing about it. So there's going to be a bit of a battle going on with the Labour Party for policy here. And it looks like the left will be led by the deputy leader, while Starmer tries to put down the end that the left has to say in the Labour Party. It's absolutely fascinating. There's a civil war in the Labour Party, which could well see a whole parliament. I keep saying this.
And there's a civil war in the Tory party as well.
There is, the triple op's on their threat now, isn't it? But we'll get a wee bit more on the naughtiness.
Imagine Rishi Sunak going to his local area, and this old woman with the walking stick or the umbrella going, "Young man, you don't give up my blooming pension. I need that pension."
I know it was Stephen Flynn getting into him about it at the PMQs, but we tend not to cover these things here, because it's a bit too much in the fault of our side. Right, now, as I say, number 3 is quite an embarrassing climb down for the Tory party, is it? No, Governor General gives permission for drugs consumption room trials in Glasgow. The UK government was losing its war with the Scottish government over the issue of international evidence that a safe consumption room works. Now, David, as we know, this fight's been going on between the Scottish government and the UK government, who are safe consumption rooms for a while now.
All the evidence was there. If anybody's going to Amsterdam, I went to Amsterdam, one of these cruises that goes up there, right? And it's like the safe consumption rooms are there. We're there.
Same with Portugal.
Yeah.
Same with Portugal, and even North America is starting to realise that the best way to deal with this is to allow it to be done safely and get people into the system. Right. Now, what was interesting about this climb down for Alistair Jack was it was an attempt to save face. What basically happened was the evidence was put in front of the Westminster Parliament Select Committee on Drugs.
Yeah. And
they looked at the evidence and went, no, let Glasgow do its trial. As you know, the very next day, Breverman came out and put her boots all over it.
Yeah.
And obviously, Dorothy Bain then came in and put a boot into the Home Office and turned around and said, you know what, set them up if you want, Scottish Government. The Procurator's Fiscal's Office will not prosecute anybody using these consumption rooms with a possession. Right. So, of course, that always left the Crown Prosecution Service with the possibility of intervening. But it would appear that the head of the Crown Prosecution Service has thrown that line up there and said, hey, Scottish law, nothing to do with us.
Just stop here, David. Struthers Brown, £5, thank you very much.
I did, I put it up, David.
Ah, you did it. Right, okay. Sorry, I was busy listening to you.
So, Alistair Jacks had to try and save face after Dorothy Bain puts her foot into the government down that road and said, "Nah, we're not going to bring any prosecutions against anybody using these places."
It's all about muscular unionism.
Aye, but the muscular unionism got a slap in the puss this time, didn't it? And he's just got a second slap in the puss and all, because you and I were taught about disposable vapes and how it looked like Jack was going to jump over the Scottish government legislating against them. And all of a sudden, the UK government said, "Oh, we're going to legislate against them and all." So Alistair Jack's been made to look like a half-wit twice in the last couple of days. But this, I will give you permission, you may now have consumption rooms. That was a climb down by the UK government and an attempt to save Suella Braverman's face, because Dorothy Bain had put the boot right in. The Crown Prosecution Service went, "That's Dorothy Bain's gig, that's got nothing to do with us."
Yeah, okay.
Apparently your touch is no working today, David.
I've no idea. I don't no idea what the guy's on about. It's always the same. He seems to come up with this cryptic stuff, and I don't get it.
Class actions is a class act. Right, let's move on. This is a cracker, this one. And this is going to do with the triple walk being under threat and the benefits going to be slashed coming up in the next budget. Apparently on Tuesday, Sunak and Hunt had a closed door meeting to cancel HS2. Now, the project was going to cost 37 billion, but you know these projects always run out. And they've already spent 2.4 billion on designing a line from Birmingham to Manchester. Or getting all the cans of whatever you want to call it, all the ducks in a row to get this one up and running from Birmingham to Manchester. I mean, there's no going to Birmingham yet, for Christ's sake. Anyway,
David, the thing about HS2, let's just go aside for the moment, right? You look at it, it is a project that really nobody wanted, because it was saving just minutes on a standard blooming rail journey.
Right?
But the thing is that they keep on going on about they want growth, right? If they had chosen a project that everybody did want, that everybody could get into, right, then that would have created the growth that they were looking for. But no one did. They intend to do this HS2 for some reason, battering their heads against a brick wall.
So anyway, the reason why they're talking about scrapping it in this closed door meeting was Hunt's under pressure for the Tory party backbenchers to find sweeties to give to the electorate and to try and give them a chance, and in the form of tax cuts. In this next budget to give them a chance of even getting anywhere in the election.
Yeah.
So what basically come out of the meeting between Hunt and Sunak was, it's worth throwing 2.4 billion of money in the bin to save 34 billion to give away in tax cuts at the next budget in order to be sweeteners for the election coming up. So basically, we'll get Sunak doing what he did as Chancellor, just writing off public money and moving on.
Digging into our pension.
Digging into everybody's pension.
Right.
So, there we go. It would appear that benefits are to be slashed, the triple walks to be scrapped, and HS2s to be scrapped, or to find billions of quid to give away in tax cuts.
To be honest with you, I don't mind if they scrap the HS2, because it comes nowhere near Scotland, David.
No, but we don't have time for it. So actually, scrapping up the HS2 to come after HS1, at least will save us some money.
We already paid for Crossrail, didn't we? Yeah. We already paid for the M25, didn't we?
We paid for the upgrade of London sewers and all.
Yes, and a good chunk of Scottish money went into the blooming Channel Tunnel as well, right? Yep. So therefore, Scotland are in it up to there, right? Over the years since Maggie was a girl, right? And it's bloody well wrong.
Anyway,
we need to be spending this money ourselves on ourselves.
It sounds like typical Tory stuff, so there must be. I don't know who they're going to give these tax cuts to, because whacking the pensioners, they're traditional Tory voters.
Yeah.
Wanting the benefit claimants, well, they don't care about them. They're probably not even going to get a vote because of voter ID.
I think the Tories are now looking at reality and going, we're going to get batted out here.
But if they can gain enough incentives to their core vote, they might just get that hung parliament, because we know the Greens are running up the outside of Labour because they're offering a left of centre prospectus, and there's a huge chunk of momentum have left the Labour Party, and they'll be looking for a new home.
Yeah.
And it's looking like the Greens could pick up their votes, as we've seen in the council elections down that road. And then we've got people at Kernow Demo and Owen Jones talk about left of centre voters voting Greens. It's a long way to this election.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah.
I see a wee comment there about the Irish Built one, and I'll tell you something that was interesting there. The Secretary of State for Ireland just threatened the DUP by kicking them out of the union if they didn't get back into Stormont. That was interesting.
Alexa, this lamp on.
Steve Baker, he's just threatened the DUP and unionists in Northern Ireland that will kick them out of the union unless they get back in. All right, then let's move on. Capitalist calls out the capitalist actually calls out the failings of capitalism and shows why the markets are run not just for the greedy, but also for control. Property developer and COE Tim Gunner says unemployment needs to rise by 40 to 50% to put employers back in control. Now, David, I know you've seen this one. What did you make of what this guy had to say?
Just what can I say? An elite shouting about get back in your box, proletariat. We're in charge. We'll tell you what's going to happen and all the rest of it, right? Well, people like that, it's like there is a way of dealing with them. I won't say it on this channel, but I think you can imagine it concerns down a back.
The guy's a property developer, just don't buy anything from him.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, it was horrific. He wants to throw 40% of the workforce on the scrap heap to remind them who's boss, and then hire them back later on lower terms and conditions, so that they're back in control of terms and conditions and the cost of work of hiring somebody.
Yeah.
Now, what this guy said was the pandemic has made everybody lazy, and Brexit had put a squeeze on the employment market, so people get better choice and they're getting to demand better wages. He doesn't like that, so he wants more thrown on the dole and hired back at a later date when they know their place. You ever heard anything like it?
Well, you know, as far as I'm concerned, the way to deal with people like that is make sure that they make no profit anywhere. So any place that he is involved in, just don't buy with them, don't deal with them. All right, something like that.
Thomas, we're all aware of the Parliamentary Standards Committee saying that Sunak had inadvertently misled the committee. You know, apparently inadvertently misleading somebody is all right. As long as you don't deliberately mislead somebody, that's no all right. But inadvertently, apparently, is all right. And if people are wondering, that was about our Sunak wife being one of the 6 agencies doing that road that get contracts for childcare. So if you were hired through the agency, you get £1,200 bonus. If you were hired just straight off a company, then you only get a £600 bonus. Wow. Huge amounts of money funneled after Mr. Sunak's wife's company. As we know, Mr. Sunak's been arranging things so that his family make a killing.
I forget what the three words he used in front of number 10 when he took over the Prime Minister, right? But
professionalism, integrity, and
that's right. Yeah, I haven't seen any of them from Sunak or his pack.
No.
Right? You know, people, even the Tories, must be looking at it and going, "This is dreadful. This is absolutely dreadful." You've got a wee man. He's scared of his own shadow. You can see that. I'm talking politically here, right? Braverman, she should have been given our daughters ages ago, and Sunak wouldn't get rid of her because, well, she was a founding father of the ERG group, wasn't she? Yeah.
So there you go, folks. Capitalism explained. It's not just so they can profiteer and make us killing. It's also a form of control of the plebs. All right. As I say, the best way to deal with this guy is just to shun him. And when he does build anything, don't buy it. But it's not the plebs that are buying what this guy's building anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, right, let's move on. First Minister Humza Yousaf makes Times list of top 100 rising stars. Mr. Yousaf was nominated for the list by the Irish tea shop, Leo Varadkar. Mr. Varadkar said he was impressed with Mr. Yousaf at the British and Irish Council, and he put him forward to the Times Rich list.
Yeah.
Sorry, no Rich list, the Times Rising Star list. Anyway, the Times went and had a wee look at Mr. Yousaf and his record in office. And believe it or not, the Times, who put down a wee bit on each of the people that they mentioned,
yeah,
tell us that he's been a roaring success in every department he's been in charge of.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute, have you not been told it's a disaster everywhere? So he makes top 100 people on the planet rising in his profession. The Times, after put him after his nomination, went, aye, this guy, he definitely deserves to be in there. Done a marvellous job in every position he's had. And yet, I hear on the radio every day that Humza's a disaster.
And what radio would that be, David?
That was the BBC, David.
Aye, well, that the other week there I was driving down to Newcastle. I did listen to the early morning BBC, Radio Scotland, and to be honest with you, I'm not impressed with these people at all. It's like the down Humza, and he doesn't deserve it. The most impressive thing about Humza is that he was a continuity candidate to come in and take over.
Well, he can't do anything until there's an election here in Scotland, can he? He's got to carry on that manifesto that he was elected in on.
Dead right. But the thing is, we're a hard act to follow, Nicola Sturgeon, and he's done it. He has followed her, and he's put his own mark on being First Minister, as we saw just the other week there in Edinburgh. What a brilliant character. Give it kudos and all the rest of it to him. He's the right character we need in place at the moment.
Yeah, and as I say, he has to be the continuity candidate because we are Democrats, and they were elected in the manifesto in 2021, which is going to be carried through before a new prospectus is put in front of the people. And looking at the motions that are going in front of the conference, there's definitely going to be a plebiscite election next year.
Unless you're a Tory. They tend to just bat that ball about all the time, right? Whereas SNP, we are Democrats.
Now, we know that Tory and Labour and Lib Dem are no Democrats because they're denying the democratic will of the Scottish people. They have been doing it for a long time, hoping that the interest in independence would dissipate. And as we all know, it's still the number one question in Scots' minds. Do we stick with this shower of shite down that road, or do we fail?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be put in front of us again next year in the form of an election. Right. But what was interesting, I was listening to First Minister's questions today. He murdered Dross and he murdered Sarwar. I mean, look, what idiots, but Sarwar said something that was really perked my interest. So there's going to be a wee Davy short on it because he was on about people fleeing the NHS to use private healthcare. I went, hold on a wee minute. So there's something coming up on that one, but Sarwar misled the Parliament yesterday, today, and he misled the people. And I'll explain why in a Davies short. David and I have already spoke about this.
Yeah. Interesting take, David. Definitely.
David,
so I hope you do tune in on David when he does this.
As you know, David, do you know how my mind works? I listened to what the man had to say and I went, hold on a wee minute, that doesn't sound right. So I went and did my research and it took me about 5 minutes to find out the fucker's a liar.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. I've got a couple of wee bits to double check and then I'll get the short. I was sitting writing the short actually, I was in the cafe earlier. Right. So look out for that one. So I mean, Humza's more than capable. And he does deserve his place on that list, no matter what people say. But now we're all Humza nights instead of Sturgeon nights, you know.
Yeah. Talking of which, I mean, she's doing it. I've seen she's doing a quiz night, right? But
aye,
have you heard anything more for the Sturgeonator? Is she? I haven't seen anything of her in the front of politics.
No, at all. A speech last week in the presiding officer inadvertently called her first minister.
Aye.
Right, let's move on.
Yep.
Right, Census shows Scottish population rose by 2.7% over the last decade, now standing at just over 5.436 million. So population up by 120,000 people. Right, but what's interesting about that, in the census from 2001 or 2001 to 2011, the Scottish population grew by 4.6%, but that's more or less been cut. And now, the reason being given for it being cut has been years and years of decline because of austerity, and then further cut by Brexit. Now, what they're telling us is, although the population's up by 100,000 odds, 140,000 odds, if we didn't have inward migration, their population would have dropped by 50,000.
Yeah. Okay, we're looking at the last 10 years, or as you've just done, you're questioning 2001 onwards, right?
Yeah.
But when you go way back to the 60s and 70s, I saw my mother breaking her heart on the doorstep. That was my sister going to Canada, and there was another sister going to Canada, and there was another sister going to Canada, right? And this is what happened. And then my auntie, uncle, they ended up going to Australia because they took advantage of was it £10? So there was an effort to depopulate Scotland specifically, and people realising there's bugger all here. There's nothing going on in Scotland that can keep me here, right? So there was people that moved away, and that is such a shame.
Right, anyway, the other thing the census really highlighted was the fact that we've got an ageing demographic, okay? Yeah. There is now 1,091,000 pensioners in Scotland, up by 22% in 10 years.
Yeah.
Now, that's a good news story and a bad news story, the census story and the population story. Now, the rise in the amount of pensioners at this point in time tells us that our healthcare service and our health initiatives are working. People are living longer, even though that's now going into reverse because of austerity.
Yeah.
We're still the people are still living longer. So that's a good health story for here in Scotland. The bad news, the bad side of it shows that we really need to take immigration into our own hands. Because we have room for 25 million people in Scotland, and because of the way Westminster has regulated our population over the last 300 years, it has only doubled in 300 years, whereas the population of England has went up by 5 times in the same period.
Yeah.
Now, population growth in England and Wales was 6% over the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But they are still controlling immigration.
Yeah.
So in order to be able to increase our population, increase our working our working population, especially with that amount of pensioners to keep, then although we have all the resources and we can afford that, we could maybe increase the population by at least.
Well, at the moment, it's all controlled by Bracknell, and that's where your immigration rules are actually rubber stamped.
Aye.
You know, so Scotland just needs to take over. We need the Scottish independence, and then start opening the door and saying we're open for business. Come on, guys. And the single market, customs union as well.
Yep.
People will come flooding in.
Yep. And where today is, and the great thing about people flooding in, believe it or not, and unlike what they're telling us down that road, when people come in, you need more infrastructure. You need more hospitals, you need more schools, you need more housing. So that in itself generates an economic advantage.
Yeah. Basically, this is your growth model. Like we're trying to tell people with the Bank of England, of actually creating the currency and then for it being taxed back the way, right? If you have got your own central bank, as Scotland will have, and its own currency, that means that those people that are involved in building the infrastructure will make money for it to be taxed back, right? And it's easy. It's such an easy model. Modern monetary theory. Look it up. Look up what it actually does. All right.
And we've had a couple of debates on this one, David, as you know, the modern monetary theory, because digital currency is on its way. We're going to have to rethink all that again.
Yeah.
You know, we
needn't be scared. We needn't be scared. There are ways to kibosh that easily.
We do need control of immigration because our demographics are changing, and we need an influx of young people from right across Europe and the rest of the world who can bolster our workforce, who can increase the size of our population. We have room for 25 million. Over the next decade, we should be looking to get 10 million in and to build to accommodate them.
Yeah.
That alone will generate a huge amount of economic wealth.
You know, and other things that we've discussed is building like a super highway. I'm not talking electronics or computers here. Building a super highway right up the central spine of Scotland, avoiding the big hills, as it were, right? Okay. But that means that you could have road, rail, and also a tourist road stacked. And that means then that Scotland would have a massive infrastructure project to go after. Also, we've got all these blooming islands everywhere. They're beautiful. They're tremendous. And if we build a tunnel to a few of them, that'll allow people to get onto these islands and improve the economy.
Sherwin talking about that a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to the comedy clip of the week. Comedy clip of the week. Words to God save the king have been changed to boo. Now, what a stooshy this one's caused them.
Yeah, well, last night I watched a bit of GB News to see what watched Dan Wooten to see what he said about it. And basically what he said was, it's all these SNPers. That's them. They're the ones that is anti-English, right? And it's not anti-English.
It's a protest against the bloody king.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and as we know up here, we're no very. I mean, we are pretty anti-monarch.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
And then, of course, you've got to remember it was written for after Culloden, and it was written to celebrate the slaughter of Scots.
So, therefore, what you are saying, by association, is that God Save the King is anti-Scottish.
Yes.
Because of the...
It was funny watching Alistair McCoy get up as nut.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely hilarious.
McCoy was Rangers. So, obviously, he's going to have a point of view like that, right? You know.
No, Melanie, the candle's burning, it's behind me. Anyway, before frozen, David? No, you just sat back so we can't see you.
I was having a look at the
Comments.
comments.
Aye, Liverpool fans booed the national anthem as well, but what an uproar. Hey, it's not the national anthem, it's theirs.
No, but down in Liverpool, it is a well-known fact that they're all voting to SNP now. They're all SNPers as well.
The SNP didn't stand in Liverpool.
See, GB News is just it's such a great comedy.
That's what they did with GB News. This was mainstream.
No, but
mainstream. It was in all the papers and all that crap.
GB News consider themselves to be mainstream media, right?
What? I think better viewing figures than they bampots.
Yeah, I know. What I'm trying to say is that GB News do consider themselves to be mainstream media, and they think that everybody it's people like me that watch them because I want to see what they're going to come up with next. You know.
I was watching the reaction to social media, and it was quite a lot like Daily Blasé here. Would you guys hold it against me if I say when it's no my king either? I know we don't hold that against you, so Daily Blasé, you're welcome to say that.
We're all Republicans when it comes down to it, if you think about it, you know. So.
But I just thought it was funny, and I thought the best point that was made was the English fans' hearts couldn't have been in it, otherwise the Scots couldn't have booed them out.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I don't think when we look at the younger demographic, especially doing that with the under 50s, they have a look at the royal family and see them the same way we do. We've got a king that's an adulterer. His brother's a bloody pedo.
Yeah.
His younger brother, nobody's quite sure whether he's gay or no, but hey ho. You know, and whether it's a marriage or convenience. I mean, the family's a bloody disaster.
Yeah.
And they all sit on top of a class system, which is the reason why there's no equality at all across these islands. How can you have equality when you've got a class system? You can't.
You can't.
You get, well, actually, no, we'll get the elite, the upper class, the upper middle class, the working class, the unemployed, and the underclass. There aren't many bloody classes now. It's mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. How can you have equality when you have that sort of thing?
It's very simple. When you've got a big pyramid held up by the monarchy, get rid of the monarchy and it drops.
Tumble, that's correct.
Yeah.
And Alan was booing at Hampden along with the rest of them. As I say, it's not an anti-English thing at all. It's just
he was doing it at Hampden in the 70s.
In the 70s.
Yeah.
You know, what do you call it? It's, you know, it's not an anti-English thing at all. It's an anti-monarchy thing.
Mm.
Let's get this straight. You know, it's just the way it was being spun in the papers, the way it was being spun by everybody. I just thought it was hilarious.
What happens when Normans inbred for 1,000 years?
Aye, you end up with a bloody royal family, you know. Although I think that's kicked about and changed hands a few times, class action.
Yeah.
But no, to be fair, I just thought it was funny. And as I say, one of the best comments I've seen on social media was, surely the English people's hearts wasn't in it, or they wouldn't get drowned out by the Scots. And as far as I know, ticket allocation was pretty fair. Yeah.
Okay, apart from the fact we got beat on the night.
Fair night.
Yeah.
A long way to go.
What secondary school was it they took the team from?
Anyway, I did notice something interesting while Alan McCoy was getting off his nut. Some naughty with a camera. He zoomed right down on the English fans, and there was Union Jacks with Rangers over it.
Now, that's an interesting thing, if you imagine. There are England supporters that also support Rangers.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
England support Rangers. England support
Sunderland War is one of my projects, right? And there was a wee chap, he didn't arm like that, you know, and he was a steward at the very, very back of where all the boxes were. I had a box right at the very end. And the whole of the East Stand, practically, that was where all your Rangers supporters were, right? And I didn't know that. That came as a surprise to me.
Pubs doing that road and supporters doing that road affiliated with different clubs here in Scotland and associated with different clubs in Scotland, Liverpool and Celtic and things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I've got a mate in Manchester who's a Scottish team is Hearts.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a bit like we all pick an English team to support as well.
Yeah.
Because of the way that the coverage is here in these islands. You get the English football, you get the Scottish football, and we all have a preference in teams doing that road. So, but the booing of the God Save the King thing, as I say, for it to be portrayed as anti-English as opposed to what it was, and that is a protest against the monarchy. It's just outrageous.
To be honest with you, there is. I've seen it through dealing with different football clubs where in international games. I watched the Turkey-England game in Sunderland in 2004, right? And I had to go around and check the PA system before the actual match started off. And when I was doing the walk round, it's like a great big, enormous tenor came out in the field. There was a microphone set right up there, and he sang the Turkish anthem. And the England supporters looked as if they were going to tear him limb for limb. It was dreadful. It really was. So they're making a point on something that is just, it happens at international football games all the bloody time.
Of course it is. There's rivalries between the closest nations, but they're always, and generally they're friendly.
Yeah.
You know, but as I say, the outrage of this, the best headline I've seen in the evening was, once the God Save the King changed to boo, I just couldn't get out of that one. I thought it was brilliant. You know, but as I say, they're trying to say it's an anti-English thing, and to have a footballer, ex-footballer of Mr. McCoy's standing, claiming that the whole of the Scottish support were SNP supporters.
I know.
That's supposed to tell you something if that's true, Ali. It means you're on the right side of the bloody chainsaw.
Yeah, very good.
Right, that's us had a laugh about it, right? So let's move on. Because I've seen people putting their preferred teams up over the comments there. Football doesn't avoid grabbing people, doesn't it?
Yes.
Right, the Tory strike stops short-term let licensing in the Scottish Parliament. Did you see the debate?
No, I didn't. To be honest with you, I was interested in the outcome, not the debate, because I knew what would be said, so.
Anyway, the outcome was they failed, right? Yeah. The interesting thing about it was zero. There was nothing they had to say, whereas the arguments were coming to the Scottish Government and the Greens that, listen, we need to get balance in the housing market because our capital funding has been cut. We can't build as many houses as we want, so we've got to get some of the short-term let stuff, which is outrageous, back into the long-term market because there's families needing homes.
Yeah,
there has to be a balance, right? So, basically, the Scottish Government and the Greens argument, and to be fair to Labour and the Lib Dems, they weren't that bothered about the short-term let thing because they understand there's to be a balance in the housing market as well. Just the Tories because they can.
Yeah.
It was as simple as that. It really was. So, anyway, short-term licensing trials will go ahead, or short-term licensing will go ahead on schedule. Unless, of course, we have Mr. Jack come up with some sort of objection. Which we're going to put it past them because, let's face it, it is a Tory party after all.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the last one we're going to talk about is a public service to the people of England who have tuned in because they might have missed it. Did you see the new energy bill go through the Parliament at a rapid rate of knots?
I read about it and I'm absolutely shocked. UK law okays use of force for smart meters on-off powers. And it's like the 446-page energy bill rushed through Parliament contains dense legalese and references to other legislation. MPs voted for the bill with 9 voting against. So almost the whole of Westminster put their shoulders against this, right?
No against it, for it.
Yeah, this is when they'd been on holiday, on their summer holidays, right? So they must have all sat on the beach and read this 446-page energy bill before voting it through when they came back, right?
You were asking about the SNP voting in this one. As you know, the SNP don't.
Yeah, it's
in Wales only, but
English laws, right? Okay. Bill covers energy production, regulation, CO2 transport, carbon capture, heat works, energy performance of premises, offshore energy production, and civil and nuclear power. Allows authorities to use reasonable force to enter any home or premises. People can be fined up to £15,000 and face prison for failing to meet energy performance level. Can you imagine that?
They also legislated to put air source heat pumps to every home in England.
Yeah.
And Wales.
Yeah. Establishes energy savings opportunity schemes with a threat of criminalisation for failure to comply. The new 446-page energy bill, passed by Parliament with only 9 votes against it, makes provisions about a wide range of energy matters, including energy production, regulation of the energy market, CO2 transport and storage, carbon capture, hydrogen production, low carbon heat schemes, hydrogen grid trials, heat networks, smart appliances, load control, energy performance of industrial and residential premises, offshore energy production, and the civil nuclear sector. The bill is written in dense legalistic language and references other pieces of previous legislation, meaning it would take a great deal of effort to understand it. The bill explains what a smart meter is and gives energy providers the ability to control how much energy we are allowed to consume using a load control signal. I need to find out what that is, a load control signal. Moreover, representatives from energy companies will be given the power to enter any home with police protection if required to replace traditional meters at the end of their lives with smart meters. Furthermore, authorities will have the power to force energy assessments for any premises and impose fines of up to £15,000 or 1 year in prison for failing to meet any future energy performance levels. Lastly, energy savings opportunity schemes will be established and obligations imposed on persons and companies to make energy savings with criminalisation for failure to comply. The implications of this bill are clear. It will create an intrusive, oppressive police state with the power to control people's lives, restrict freedoms, and wreck the economy. It is a horror that will be further exacerbated if Labour comes to power, as climate fanatics will use and abuse it to their advantage. Overall, the energy bill is a massive abomination of almost impenetrable legalese, and it's impossible for any normal person to understand it. We must be considered fortunate to have such MPs who have such a strong work ethic and understanding of these disparate matters to have the ability to vote for it, knowing exactly what they are voting for when they came back. You know that a massive energy bill is being rushed through Parliament by our fake Conservative government in the first 2 days of our parliamentarians' return from their generous summer break. The bill is 446 pages long and written in dense, largely incomprehensible to any normal person.
Right, David. The reason why we're doing this is because we've got a large audience in England. Right now, I see a few comments saying, "I'm not doing this here, not doing this here." They're not doing it here. They're doing it in England and Wales. We know, of course, because if we stay in the union, because the internal market bill will eventually be imposed upon us, one way or another. But what they're basically telling the people of England and Wales is, we're coming for your hooses, your non-compliant hooses. written into that bill is a wee bit of legislation in that bill allows them to take your home from you if you cannot make it energy compliant and move you into an energy compliant apartment, which, as we know, don't exist because they're not building bloody social housing down that road.
Yeah.
And they can fine. So if they come along, if your energy company comes along and decides they're going to audit your premises, whether it be a domestic premises or whether it be an industrial premises, and they say that you don't meet compliance with a net zero legislation, which will change continuously, then you can be fined up to £15,000. You can be subject to 1 year in prison, or, of course, you could be shut down. Your premises could be shut down or taken away.
Yeah. The one chink I like that I can see in this is that thing I was talking about with the smart meters, right? Where they can actually put a check on a maximum usage using the smart meter. At the moment, I'm having a bit of a to-do with my energy supply. I won't name them, but it's been ongoing for months now.
For you to find out that they can actually switch your energy off and control the amount you're using, but
yeah, but the meter would have to be accurate to begin with. If the meter's not accurate, then it could be that you're getting switched off or curtailed wrongly, and you will only be happy. It's a real economic forum.
We're always is quoting the World Economic Forum.
Yeah,
you will own nothing and be happy.
Yeah.
This bill, as I say, only applies in England and Wales. Now, this is a public service announcement for our friends in England and Wales. They're coming for your house.
I assure you, if it's successful, and if Tory get back in, it'll be brought in Scotland.
And even if Labour comes in, they'll find a way to get it and impose it upon us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. So, as I say, this is a warning to the people of Scotland that's coming. But it's a warning right now to the people of England. They're coming for your house. Because most people down there who have got a property won't be able to afford to make the properties compliant.
Yeah. Yes. You know, they're talking about a £15,000 fine, right? It could be £15,000 to make your house compliant. Something like that. You know.
And if you've not got £15,000 to make your house compliant, you've not got £15,000 for a fine either, so you're going to jail.
That's right.
And if you're in jail, you can't pay your mortgage, so your house is away.
Yeah.
So, and this is at the whim of ministers.
Yes.
It's another one of these ones where Parliament's been cut out, and it'll be the energy minister that will decide whether your property is compliant or not.
Yeah.
With whatever standards they decide to throw on this week. David, sit forward. We'd like to see you while you're there.
Hello.
You'll need to get another lamp at the other side here. Do something, David.
Yeah, okay. No worries. Well, it's just at this time of year, I've got bright sunshine coming right through this window.
I don't worry, I'll last long in Scotland, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, and it's blinding me. Right.
But hey, Mark Telford, I bet that doesn't apply to mansions and family estates. I bet you're right, Mark. But I say that last wee bit there was a public information announcement for the people of England and Wales, because we have it used to be our largest audience was in London, believe it or not, David, but now it's our third largest. Our largest audiences are now Glasgow and Edinburgh, with London coming in third. But as a wee warning for the people doing that road, they are coming for your houses. If you can't afford to make your house compliant, you're facing a £15,000 fine or a year in jail. You can't afford the £15,000 fine. You're going to jail, can't pay your mortgage, they've got your house. Simple as that.
It's disgusting. It really, honestly, is a disgusting way to treat a population.
That is.
Yeah, you cannot do that to people.
But as you know, David,
and if you do that to people, you expect them to riot. It's as simple as that.
Well, as we know, this bit of legislation was rushed through. Only 9 people across party, from English and Welsh parties, opposed this. Right?
That I can't understand. That means that they didn't understand what they were voting for.
Probably not.
They were told by their whip, oh yeah, vote for this, it's just about such and such and such, that improves everybody's lives and all the rest of it, right? This is one that needs pushing back into a further vote. Simple as that.
Aye.
It'll take.
That's not going to happen because the bill passed.
Yeah.
It's been passed.
Aye, but the thing is, a bill like that can be repealed upon further knowledge.
Of course it could, or it could be amended.
Yeah.
But as you've just heard, the Labour Party is not likely to do that.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't believe for 1 minute the climate activists, because this is a scare story for the election, will manipulate the Labour Party. But as we know, Sir Comrade Kidstarver has just thrown his £23 billion a year green energy policy in the bin because he can't afford that, apparently. So there's not likely to be any changes.
Yeah.
And for all, don't try to stop it, Sandra, because it's already passed.
Yeah. Plus the fact that Sir Kidstarver will be looking to the oil and gas rigs to produce revenue to come into the treasury that he can spend. Simple as that.
One of the old-fashioned iPads. I'm afraid the wee one just didn't have enough pages anywhere. Anyway, that's what we've got for this week. Now, folks, if you don't know, if you're living in England and Wales and you're on my friends list on Facebook, jump on, scroll down till you see this particular piece of information on this particular piece of legislation. It's about a 10 to 15 minute read, but it is worth it. Or if you're a speed reader like David and I, it's a 6 or 7 minute read. You know.
Sure, you speak for yourself. It takes me ages just to read one comment.
You know me, David. I'm a speed reader.
Listen, guys, if you are looking in from England, then please find a way to get this thing about the new bill that's come out, reference electricity and all the rest of it, right? You need to share this to people in England so that you can get a bit of a noise building up so that the Tories and Labour have to listen to you.
It's not that we don't need to move to net zero. We don't want the energy companies being able to force their way into people's houses, find people, and impose things on people that are likely to make them lose their houses.
Yeah.
We do need to get to net zero. There is only a decade to get there.
Yeah.
Sorry, we've only 7 years left. As we know, in current trajectory, David, what is it? We're expecting to, by the end of the century, the planet's expected to deliver warmed up by 3.7.
Yeah, would basically at that time we're dead.
Well, we're looking at mammal worldwide extinction, fish worldwide extinction. I mean, the only thing that'll be left with cockroaches.
I hope they taste good.
Don't know, we need to around to eat them. But at this point in time, we are on an extinction trajectory.
Yeah.
Right. But letting energy companies control how you heat your house, how much energy you consume, it's not how it should be done. You know?
Yeah.
Or how you operate your business. It all needs a transition period and investment, no enforcement.
Yeah.
You know? As David says, if you're in England and Wales, make other people aware of this one. Up here in Scotland, we'll just need to keep an eye on it because it will be coming sometime soon.
Obviously, it is a very, very anti setup that wrote that particular article, right? And yeah, it's worth a look. If I can just find it, it's called Darntons, Darntons. Okay, it's Christian Darnton, who is a wee bit of a campaigner for things like
analysis on the bill. That's right. Right, David. We're over time.
Yeah.
As you know, I start work at 6. So, folks, hit the like button, please. Hit the share button. Want to thank everybody for their kind contributions today. Everybody.
And I'll try and get something sorted for a bit of like for next time.
Aye. So, say, if you like what we do, hit the like button, hit the share button, share across your social media platforms if you don't mind. Now, we're on a drive to get our subscriptions up to a couple of thousand.
Yes, go on. If you haven't subscribed by now, for goodness sake, what's holding you back, right? The button's there, use it, right?
And we know by the analytics that not everybody that watches has subscribed yet.
Aye, yes.
Okay, but a lot of people are still using Facebook to watch us. But even if you're using Facebook to watch us, take 5 minutes and nip out of YouTube.
We know who you are, and we know where you live.
No, we don't. If that's your attempt at intimidation, it was funny.
Yeah, it's like we're SNPers. We tell people what's going on.
Right, anyway, I just lose one thing left today because I've got the dog to walk and I've got work to do.
That leaves me one thing. Bye, Davey.
Bye, Davey.
Bye,
bye, folks. Thanks for tuning in.